Good evening, good evening, good evening, folks. And on this night of the Champions League, we go searching for a right centre back who would lead us back to Europe. Who will find them? Will we find them? Find out here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Cher. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Cher with.
All right, folks, how we doing? Good evening to you all. As I said, it's an evening for the Champions League, and we're looking for a right centre back. We're looking for a defender, right centre back to lead us back to the promised land of the Champions League and to bring us back to the promised land of elite clubs and elite football for Newcastle United. And I am very, very excited about what the players we're going to be looking at today. It was really, really, really enjoyable looking for and researching so many of the right centre backs across Europe. And I've managed to find some which I am very, very, very excited about. So, folks, let me know how you're doing. As always, when you get into the comments, when you get into the chats, let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you are. Where are you listening from? Where are you up to? Whether you're about to go on a night shift, where you're about to get the kids to sleep, or you've just got them to sleep, whether you're just settling down and you want to enjoy your evening, you want to be able to know what right centre back is out there for the Toon, for Newcastle United, that would help lead us back to where we want to go in terms of Europe. And good to see already you've got the people coming in with the comments. Connor on the go. Connor, I hope you are well, sir. Hope you are very, very well. I think if that's Toon Talk, I tried to I messaged you on X, but I messaged someone wrongly. It wasn't you, so do message me if I've missed you. But I messaged the wrong person anyway, just to say hello. So yeah, message me on X if you can, DM me if you can. It'd be good to hear, but it's good to see you here. So we're searching for a right centre back to lead us back into Europe. We've got a couple of profiles to look at as well. But as always, folks, like I said, do let me know how you are doing. So without further ado, I want to start with drink my coffee first, because get me up. So right, so let me get it on screen. Let me get it started, guys. And as always, like I said, let me know how you're doing, what you're up to. I hope to get this evening on the go for you guys. Let me know if you can see on the screen. I was hoping that this might be the best way. I'll zoom in into stuff as well. Let me know if you can see what we're looking at as well. And how do you guys like the mic? I bought myself a new mic. I bought myself I forgot what you call this, a boom thing as well. So I thought it was a boom stand. I forgot what you call it. But let me know if the sound quality is better. I'm trying to improve things. I'm hoping that I was listening back to some of my shows before, and I'm thinking, wow, that was I need a better mic. And so I hope this mic works for you guys. So before we get into it, got a comment there from Connor. Chow played very well today versus Real Madrid and scored. Did he? Okay. I'll look it up in the highlights. See how he's doing. You never know. We might come back in for that deal. Unfortunately, he's not on the show today. Who is on the show? Speaking of the show, so look, guys, as always, look, we all know, and you guys seen from my thumbnail, best centre back target this window. I had obviously Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell doing some window shopping with Marc Guehi on the other side, and it is Marc Guehi. That's the person that we pursued for such a long time in that summer period, and I kind of used his profile. I did use his profile, him and his profile, to be able to look at potential right centre backs that we might look at in the summer window. But first of all, I wanted to know if Marc Guehi was the answer for Eddie Howe in particular. What was the question? And so when I look at, for instance, we've got here Fabian Shaw. This is heat map from this year, and we've got Dan Burn. The obvious answer, first of all, in terms of them, is that they're aging. They are getting older. They're lacking that speed. They're lacking that athleticism, and despite the good that they are doing, and there's a lot. I don't want to be able to use the show to kind of say, oh, they're this, they're that. They're incredible professionals as well, but they are aging. They're lacking that athleticism. They're lacking that speed. We can see, for instance, from Shaw's heat map as well as Burns, that Eddie Howe as always wants to apply a high press, despite what people think that, especially rivals think we play low blocks. That's our way. It's not our way. We play a high press, and sometimes because we don't press very well, especially from our back line, it looks like we have no midfield, and it's because our aging centre backs are not pushing up with our midfield like they should. And part of the reason for that is obviously the fear of the ball getting over the top. Or, for instance, now I'm going to show some highlights about this in terms of why some of the concerns around that. We need to upgrade our centre back situation. And you can see here from both of their heat maps how they have been. This is from this year, actually, from the last 10 games. They have been playing high up the field. They've been doing that a lot more better in the last 4 or 5 games. However, when it's not going so well, we're gonna show a few highlights about this. So I've got a few here, for instance. So this is from our Bournemouth game, which, although we drew 1-1, we all collectively know this is what can happen. We all collectively know that that Bournemouth more than deserved to win that game. And, for instance, and we kind of showed this before, is you can see that this is Newcastle United from bottom going up, and at the bottom here you've got at the top you've got Isak, and you're right towards the bottom at number 33, Dan Burn. I can't remember who else played, but you can see there's an incredible gap between our centre back situation, number 17, to Isak, and obviously Bournemouth in that situation really pressed us really, really, really high. I think Kraft played as well. So another person that we need to upgrade upon, even though he played really well against Chelsea, getting older and everything like that. So these guys were playing, but look, Bournemouth were able to outpress us at that time as well, and it created a huge gap between them. We were just hoofing it essentially. However, in the last number of games here, for instance, even when we don't press so badly, these are games that we lost. Obviously, Chelsea, where you can see obviously number 5, number 33 there, Dan Burn, relatively closer to number 39, 8, and 7, which is Tonali, Bruno, and Joelinton. We know in that game, and I'm going to show the highlights from that game, that despite them pushing up because of their age and everything else, whenever Jackson dropped into the midfield, was picking up the ball, the amount of times he would spin Burn just could not keep up with him. He hasn't got the athleticism that we need in our centre back in order to be able to do that. So yes, for instance, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's playing up higher, but he's suffering at the same time because of his lack of pace. Again, I'm going to show Brighton game. Even though the Brighton game we played much, much better. Both Burn and Shaw played better, and they kept up of our high line. This is from the top going downwards, but you can see obviously we suffer from a goal that went directly over us. I'm going to show that highlight from that as well. And so I think this is another game here. So the main point, and this is Wolves game. Again, I'm going to show this game as well. Again, this is a game that we pressed from our midfield and our attack. We pressed relatively well. But if you can see the distance here, let me make sure you guys can see my screen. If you can see, guys, from the distance here, where are you? Here we go. 33, Burn, 5, Shaw. Because we're so worried about being caught on the transition, it's making number 36, Sean Longstaff, have to drop back as well. So where you want him to kind of be able to press up. And Bruno and Joelinton, who had a much better game in this one, and I'm going to show the highlights again from this game to show you guys in terms of how we're kind of suffering because of the lack of athleticism that we're kind of getting from these guys. Now on the ball, they're terrific, especially Shaw in terms of his diagonals and his long ball. Burn a little bit less so. The other thing that they lack, and which we're going to see a lot more when we're looking at the Marc Guehi type of profile, is their ability to take ons. So taking on players, going past players, as well as not just passing away, so breaking lines so they are able to break lines not just by passing like long diagonals or through balls, but actually taking on a player and going past them. That is not Burns or Shaw's game necessarily. However, when you look, this is definitely a Marc Guehi or Marc Guehi profile type of player. So I spoke about the highlights. I wanted to kind of show from the ways we've kind of suffered a little bit, quite a bit in terms of to this point, and kind of explain why, for instance, Eddie Howe wanted Marc Guehi so much. I'm gonna share a few of those highlights to remind folks as well. I remember obviously some of these games I shared obviously I did a review on, and it was painful to watch at times, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all part of the learning process for the Toon. It's all part of the learning process for our club. So let me get the highlights on. I want to start off with a quick one from the game against. Got a couple. So I've got Wolves, I've got Chelsea, and I've got Brighton, to kind of highlight what I mean and what I think Eddie Howe sees as well. So let me make sure you guys can see my screen. Can you see my screen? If I do it full size, what happens there? Here we go. Can you guys see that? All right, excellent. Let me get there as well. So brilliant. So this is in terms of direct play. So this is against Chelsea, and you guys will remember this. Especially this is the goal in the second half of Cole Palmer. Now Newcastle are in attack here. Tonali Livramento about to go forward, and we're about to get intercepted. Isak gets intercepted by Colwill. In fact, you see how Colwill literally presses into Isak right on the halfway line. It's kind of it is what Eddie Howe is looking from his centre backs as well. But Colwill, young, got pace, got the aggression, got the to press, wins the ball back really well for Chelsea here, and Isak does really badly to pass the ball back. Now, as soon as Palmer picks up the ball here, all over our midfield, everybody's gone. And look what happens. You can see here, Livramento, Bruno, Isak are trying to chase down Cole Palmer. And you can see here, getting into the shot of my screen is Shah. Now, Shah isn't going out to meet Cole Palmer because he's scared. He doesn't have the pace, and he's scared he's going to just bypass him. And he's pedaling backwards, and he at no point does Shah want to even engage with Cole Palmer at all, giving Cole Palmer free rein in this. And at the end of the day, we know what happens. He just gives him space, doesn't close him down, and we know what happens. Cole Palmer scores. And it's these type of situations that this is the whole reason why Shah and Burn themselves don't push up and press either as well. So before I go to the next highlight, kind of again identifying the concerns, identifying the issues, go through the comments here. Connor, Loic Bade from Seville, yeah, he came up. I'm going to be discussing him today as well. A little spoiler there. This is Toon Talk, but locked out of account, so new account is all about the Toon. Okay, it's all about the Toon. I'm going to look for that one. All right, lovely, brilliant. So that's the Chelsea highlight there. Let me go back to the other highlight I wanted to show from the Wolves game. We talked about the Wolves game, for instance. Share this tab instead. Yeah, here we go. Let me see. Can you guys see that? All right, brilliant. Let me make sure that you got it on full screen. And this is the goal that Wolves scored against us in the first half. Now, I highlighted previously, this isn't just Burns' fault or Shaw's fault. There was a number of things that happened, obviously. Longstaff's pass went wayward. There was Livramento as well, didn't close down his man, all these type of things. But when you have two aging centre-backs, you're going to see what the problem is in terms of, especially when you got young forwards with pace, or who are hitting the flanks, making it really difficult for us. Here, Larson, we actually talked about this in the preview show. The ball has broken for, I can't remember if it's Lamina. I don't think it's Lamina. I forgot who got the ball here. But you see Larson heading straight down the flanks. He's taking Burn out of his comfort zone. Shah's worried as well. He's trying to get back as well. They're lacking that pace here. He's taking Burn down the flanks. Burn is struggling to keep up with him, struggling to keep up the pace. Larson just passes it forward, gets past Burn again. And Larson again's got that free rein, got that even to stop. Burn isn't able to keep up with him. He passes the ball across, and it's a simple tap in for Lamina. Again, this is what you have when you got aging centre backs. Really, Burn and Shah should be our covers for for Botman if he was healthy, obviously if he was fit, and for Marc Guehi, for instance, or any other kind of centre back as well. But when you have those young kind of centre backs, they're kind of seeing you, they seeing Burner, seeing Shaw. The first thing they want to do is test them for space, for pace, hit them on the flanks, and do that kind of thing. And this is part of the reason why, especially at the beginning part of the season, you would have seen those huge gaps between our defense and between our midfield, because our midfield is pressing up to support the attack, but the defense are scared in terms of Shaw and Burn in particular to push up to because they know that they can be hit for pace as well. This is the a Brighton game, slightly different situation. This is from a quick dead ball. We know the goal that they scored. This is from a quick dead ball situation where Newcastle had a very, very, very good game in this. We know we dominated them in chance creation, possession, final third passes, duels, all these type of things. So, and actually relatively well, Shaw and Burn were doing the right things. And so we was very much in control. But what again this highlights, this is just a direct ball over the top. Brighton are saying, forget trying to get through Tonali, Bruno, and Joe Linton and Isak and Gordon. They got too much pace. They're too strong. They're too fast. They've been harassing. They've been hounding us all game. Get one ball over the top. Let's get Welbeck one-on-one with Shaw. And this is exactly what they did. Quick ball over the top. And the first thing Shaw doesn't want to do, he doesn't want to engage with Welbeck. The ball is yet to land on Welbeck's chest. And Shaw was already standing back in fear, because he's scared that once he gets on his chest, Welbeck is going to run past him. Instead of engaging him and pressing him and just being tight on, trying to get tight on him, even if he can't get the ball, but at least keeping him away from the goal, Shaw is standing back because he's worried about getting bypassed. Again, very similar to what he done against Palmer, who just ran at him and ran at him and ran at him. And then you see Welbeck get chest. He had time to chest the ball, pass it to Ruta, did a 1-2 of Ruta, again beat Shaw for pace in between, and Livramento himself wasn't strong enough in the challenge. And this is exactly what happened. So we've gone through the problem of what we've gone through, why Eddie Howe is looking for a Marc Guehi type of profile, why he's looking for that kind of player, because he needs their pace, he needs their strength, he needs their technical ability, their ability to get tight on a man as well. But plus also the main thing is currently our main centre backs in Burn and in Shaw, they're aging, they're getting older, and they're lacking the athleticism that we need in order to be the high pressing team that we want to be. So that's the problem. That is the problem. Eddie Howe has evolved the tactics as well. He wants to be a more possession-based team, whilst maintaining the intensity, in maintaining the press, the high press that we have. He wants all these things, but it's very, very difficult to do. Very, very difficult to do in a situation when we have aging centre backs. And if you look at any of the top 6 teams, you got Spurs of Romero and Van der Ven, tall, strong, athletic. Chelsea, Badashile and Colwell, Liverpool, Van Dijk, Konate, Man City, Diaz, Akanji, or all the other centre backs they got. Arsenal, Gabriel and Saliba, big, tall, athletic centre backs that allow those teams to push up on opponents, to press them really, really high up, because they know whether the ball goes directly into feet or over the top, those guys have got the recovery pace, the strength, the ability to handle the most forwards, nearly all forwards in the league in one-on-one situations. However, Newcastle don't totally have an aging centre back, and I'm gonna talk about this man. I'm gonna talk about Mr. Botman, because let me make sure you guys can see it on the screen. Because as Botman is the first upgrade that we bought in terms of a defensive upgrade since Burn, and he is the future of our back line, together with Livramento and Hall, and whoever joins him at right centre back. And so when we're doing a bit of window shopping for right centre backs, I'm going to be doing it in terms of does this centre back complement Botman? So we're going to talk about Botman. I know that he's due back in December. God willing, he'll be the Botman that we all saw in 22-23. So I'm going to be talking about these future right centre backs, not in terms of their relationship with Byrne, even though that's going to be part of it as well, or Kelly, but I'm going to talk about them in terms of them playing alongside Botman, because the front line, our future, our backline is looking like Hall, Livramento, Botman, and whoever else, and obviously the goalkeeper situation, which we'll talk about as well. So, and Botman represents the modern centre back that Howe actually wants. So before we get into Botman, because he's going to be key, got another comment here from Connor. Another issue is we need the ball playing goalkeeper. Yes, 100%, 100%. I don't know if people notice, and they'll know that ball playing goalkeepers are literally used as the fifth man in defense nowadays. Because if you guys see, for instance, how we press teams, we go man for the defense, and it's just down to the goalkeepers. And really good goalkeepers, your Reyes, who are good with the ball at the feet, Reyes, Edison, even the Brighton goalkeeper and stuff like that. They're really good at just passing the ball almost centrally down the flanks, everything else like that. And I know Pope is trying. God bless Pope, but we need to move forward. We really, really need to move forward with a ball playing goalkeeper. But back to our centre back, and I don't want him to be the forgotten man, because the right centre backs that I'm going to be looking at, as I explained, our centre backs. In terms of our centre backs, I'm going to be looking at their relationship with Paul, their profile. Does their profile suit Botman? Because that's what Eddie Howe is going to be looking at, in my opinion. And when we're looking at the modern centre back, when we're saying what is a modern centre back, I think Sven Botman encapsulates this, and this is what Y-Scout. So this isn't just coming from me. This is from Y-Scout. They describe what the benefits are of a right centre back here. They talk about Bonucci, they talk about Van Dijk, they talk about those type of guys, and they say, for instance, a modern centre back, and for me, this describes Botman. A modern centre back offers control and passing options in build-up, which helps teams dominate possession, create more chances. Absolutely. Botman, in terms of his class on the ball, his ability to pass it centrally, pass it on the floor, diagonals that he can do is absolutely exceptional. With the change, to the goal kick rule ahead of the season, centre backs who are good on the ball can also now receive a pass from their goalkeeper inside their own penalty box. We've seen that time and time again with Botman when he was playing. A centre back with a good passing range, that's Botman, can help link into the attacking players. Botman quickly and in different ways. The best centre backs can adapt their passing depending on the opposition's defensive strategy. That's Botman. Whether they press or sit back in a block. A centre back who steps forward with the ball can also create numerical advantages in the midfield. Botman on occasion can do that, but I think the player, he can do that. But I think a Marc Guehi profile and that kind of centre back can do that even to a higher level. This in turn can help free up teammates further forward, and that's the key. That's exactly that last line there. This in turn can help free up teammates further forwards, and we're going to go through that forwards. Teammates going forward, and what does that mean? What does that mean when they say that? And I think that's the key for Howe in terms of why he's so desperate to get a certain type of profile into the team. So I'm going to go back to our kind of lineup board in terms of doing that. And this is why, for me personally, this is my personal take. I think a right centre back is more important than a right wing forward. That's my opinion. Let me know what your opinion is. Would you prefer a right wing forward? Who would that be? Over and above, or even if we get the right centre back we want, or Eddie Howe wants, he wants obviously Marc Guehi. If we get the man that we want, what's more important? You guys let me know in the comment section. What's more important, a right wing forward or a right centre back? I'm going to show and explain why I think a right centre back is the more important one, and it's to do that last line with the. Let me share this on the screen. I'm going to just share my screen with you guys. Where a right centre back who's able to play on the ball is able to push up and give a numerical advantage in the midfield. because of his ball playing ability. And this is absolutely key. And this is what I mean by that. And I think this is what Eddie Howe is looking for, in my personal opinion. Having never talked to the man, this is my opinion on what I think Eddie Howe. So this is my screen. Let me show you. Can you guys see that? Yep, here we go. So this is lineup, and I'm going to be going back and forward with this for a little time. So at the moment we've got Burn, who can play on the ball, but is limited in how he's able to do that, with a Sven Botman. And this is partly what Eddie Howe is looking for. So we're going to change Burn into Sven Botman as quickly as possible. Remove Botman. Brilliant. So ball playing the centre back, and I think this is what Eddie Howe is looking for, not just from a modern centre back, with ability on the ball, really good ability on the ball. When Newcastle, for instance, are pressing forward, and he's talking about numerical advantage. So, for instance, Livramento, a lot of the times you get fullbacks who join the midfield. This is the numerical advantage that he's looking for. Almost that 3-man midfield turns into a 4-man midfield. But with a ball pressing centre back as well, like a Botman here. So let me push up Isak a little bit here. Joe Linton here. Gordon, Wilson, Willock, Tonali. They plug the gaps here. Livramento pushing up here with Bruno just behind those guys, sometimes even perusing forward with a 3-man midfield. Now you've got this type of situation. You've got a numerical advantage as well in the midfield. If you've got really good centre backs, i.e., a Gabriel Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, where you've got really good centre backs, tall, strong, pacey forwards, you can afford for both of your fullbacks to press up like this, and both of your centre backs, and this is why we're going to talk about. This is what I think Eddie Howe's looking for, to be like this, and then you'll have and then if you're picking up the ball from the back, for instance, from the goalkeeper, it might be a Bruno, Botman, and whoever the right centre back is. Then they'll go into that midfield, pressing up high, trying to keep the ball in the opposition half. And Bruno here dictating the play, dictating the tempo, as well as a Botman as well. So if they're trying to go over the top, if they're trying to go over the top, got a phone call there. If they're trying to go over the top here, you've got Sven Botman, for instance, pressing in, trying to get up high as well, giving that numerical advantage in the midfield. This is the type of thing that Eddie Howe is looking for in his centre back, someone who's got the athleticism. So for instance, if Bruno's up here and Botman, if someone tries to if there's a direct ball over Bruno over our midfield, for instance, the Chelsea game when you had a Jackson dropping into the midfield and you're getting burned turn, you've got a Botman who has more athleticism, more strength, who can handle that. But even if he doesn't, he's not as fearful that, it's Shah behind me, therefore I can't be be 100% committed. He can, if he's got for instance, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, a Marc Guehi, for instance, at the back, what you will have is a lot more commitment from a Botman going forward, because he knows that the guy covering him has the pace, has the athleticism to be able to deal with that. And so this is why it's so crucial in the structure of how Eddie Howe wants the Newcastle to play. And in terms of going forward, he's looking to evolve our play. This is now creating a lot more, a much more technical team as well. So going forward, this is where we're at. This is what we're doing. And if you look at it here, for instance, if this is the hypothetical speaker now. You've got a Botman, you've got a Bruno, you've got a Guehi, Tonali. These guys have got there's a high technical ability, a high technical team here as well. So I think this is the dream for Howe, and this is why, in my opinion, in my vision, Eddie Howe's vision, in my opinion, a centre back, a right centre back, a good right centre back is very important. So before we go into who those chosen people are, let's go into the comments real quick as well. Connor, also centre backs need to be calm on the ball. Exactly. Absolutely. It's absolutely crucial, especially when you're a high pressing team and you know what's at stake. All right. So just a moment, folks. All right. So, okay, just a moment, folks. Give me one moment. I've got to literally dash. I'll be with you in one moment. I have to pause the show. Sorry, guys. Give me one moment and I'll be back, folks. Right. Sorry about that, guys. I had a brief. Oh, thank you for sticking with me. So, this is the importance of why I think how is placing on that right centre back in order to develop our play and everything that we're doing. So, that is what I think will happen. So, before we go into that, let me go into the comments as well. Let me get that. I wanted to talk about, yeah, before we talk about our next profile as well. Aaron Kane, I don't know if I've seen you before, so I hope you're well. Welcome to the show as well, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I personally will go for a white. Okay, I'll personally go for a right winger because it gives us more output. Yeah, from that side, and tactically gives us more options to explore. Okay, yeah, feels like Isak hasn't got the same service as he does from the left, and that is true. That is true. And I don't know. Do you think, because obviously now that we've got Gordon on the right, um, what do you think of that solution going forward? I know that is it a temporary solution. Do you think I'm not saying this because Gordon could play on the right, we'll never get a right winger, but if at least for the year or not, if he's fit and keeps going, wouldn't that be a good solution? I don't know. You let me know. You let me know about that. That was a great cross he gave as well in the season just gone as well in the game that's gone against Arsenal. So that might be a solution going forward. But I definitely know I can definitely see where you're coming from on that. Oliver Simon Jordan need a replacement for Pope. Time to move on now. Boy, well, it might be. I think for me personally, I think James Trafford is still on the cards. If you're asking me, I think James Trafford is definitely still on the cards. So let's see what happens with that. Oliver Simon Jordan, Tonali and Bruno can't play together as 8 and 6. You don't think so? You let me know why, Oliver. I think they play fantastically well. Okay, fantastically. They get into that level. I think they're playing very well together, and I can see that relationship growing. But let me know. And which partnership do you prefer? Bruno's Longstaff, Tonali Longstaff. Do let me know. It's a very interesting take there. All right, so my first player, let me get my screen, as you might have guessed, because I've been talking about him already, is, let me get him up. Yeah. Where is it? Okay, is Marc Guehi. It is indeed Marc Guehi himself. So I'm going to read a few things from his profile, kind of give a profile on him and kind of go through his stats as well for you folks. And this is kind of explain, certainly from Howe's point of view, why he believes that, that Marc Guehi in particular, specifically Marc Guehi, because that's the man he's been looking for. He spent most of our transfer window looking for to get. So let me. Well, muted myself. Let me get him on and see what we can do here. Where are you? Where are you? Share my screen. Share. Let's get that. Chrome had a really good profile from The Athletic because they specifically said, why does Eddie Howe? Here we go. All right. So let me make sure you guys can see that. Yes, you can. So I'm going to go for a couple things on it. So the main reasons is so we're going to speak about him on the ball. So it's character, mentality. Roy Hodgson, for instance, I said this guy is, captain material. Drew Bellingham called him Uncle Guehi because of his maturity and everything like that, even though he's 24 years old. He's obviously currently captaining Crystal Palace, and he's a future England captain as well. So he's a leader on the ball, which is something that Eddie Howe absolutely love. We've got so many captains already. Obviously, Bruno Gomes, current captain, but the leaders as well. Tonali, captain of the under 21 Italy squad, soon to be captain of Italy, absolutely as well. So we've got a lot of guys in our team that have got those captain qualities. Kieran Trippier, obviously, as well. The other thing with Marc Guehi, we talked about his ability on the ball. So his ability to switch play with his diagonal passes. You guys can see here. He often plays, and people talk about, but he plays as left centre back. He plays as left centre back. How can he's a right-footed player who plays left centre back? That's what makes it so amazing. So because they love him to hit those diagonal balls. At the time, it was to Elise here. This is what he's really, really, really good at. When we're talking about breaking the lines, this is what made Palace, Elise and those other players that were on that side really, really effective because of Marc Guehi's diagonal passes. So he's able to do that, and he's able to put teams on the back foot for what he's able to do. Again, and here as well, his other abilities we spoke about his ability on the ball. So it's not just he's passing overhead here. He's getting assists as well from kicking in deep as well. People are talking about. So in my view, he's already wearing number 6 shirt. In my view, he's at Glasner. He even has used him as a DM, as a number 6 in the Villa game, for instance, last year as well. So he is a right centre back / DM. He is the DM. He's a versatile player. And again, he will give us that numerical advantage as well. But it's not just his passing ability. It's also what he's able to do on the ball. Obviously, playing right centre back. At the Athletic make the point of, it's going to be even easier for him to hit diagonals onto a Gordon, whoever plays on that side, whether it's Gordon, whether it's Willock, whether it's Barnes, they're going to absolutely love him because of his ability to hit those balls, those diagonal balls. The other thing he's able to do is his ability on the ball. When here it is. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Is his ability to get past the player. So, for instance, this is actually against us last year when we beat them. You can see here Callum Wilson is running over to press and to harass Guehi, and Guehi just does a drop of the shoulder and gets past Wilson with relative ease. This isn't just Wilson does this to; he does this to many forwards. And what does that do when he gets past the player? Well, now the midfield opens up to him. So imagine if we've got a centre back like this. The part, like we talked about, part of our problem has been in terms of our centre backs creating that huge gap with our midfielders. Because also, if it's not Shaw, if it's not Shaw on the ball, the likes of Burn, Kraft don't have the same ability. Even Shaw himself don't have this ability to take on players in this manner, to break lines in this manner. So often it's a pass. So if it's a pass and we're playing it out from the back, which we're doing a lot more often, these guys don't have the same confidence or pace or ability on the ball as a Marc Guehi to drop a shoulder and to get past. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Burn doing that, or Shaw doing that. Not very, very often. So again, this is what Eddie Howe's looking for in his centre backs, in this right centre back, especially a Marc Guehi. It opens up the midfield. It opens up new opportunities for the team. And again, for instance, a Bruno Guimaraes or a Tonali, they don't have to worry about having to drop deep to get the ball so much. They will do that from time to time, obviously, and rotate. But when you've got a Marc Guehi at the back, when you've got a Sven Botman at the back, do you really have to do that? You don't have to do that anymore. If you folks remember from our 22-23 season where we had the incredible triangle of Bruno, Sven Botman, and Shaw, that was amazing in itself. But when you add a Guehi to that, you got a centre back who can drop the shoulder and get past centre backs. Bruno can stay further up the field. Tonali can stay further up the field and cause damage that way. And this is something that he does all the time. And again, this is him picking up the ball deep, traveling deep. And even when he gets the ball, when he takes on the defender, he makes the right choices. He sometimes becomes the pass before the pass for the assist of the goal as well, like a Tonali type as well, which is what's really, really good about him as well. The other thing is now the Athletic here talks about how he complements Botman. And this is what they say here. And I'm going to mention this and why this is important. While Botman is aggressive in aerial duels and a front-footed defender, Guehi is more content to sit back and cover. And he has the pace to keep up with quick attackers and will often lurk behind his more active partner to clean up loose balls and track runners in case the teammate loses the initial duel. And this goes back to exactly what I was saying to you guys earlier. If a Botman, for instance, steps up into a midfield to support Bruno, to support Tonali, to give them some ease of mind that, look, you know what, we've got someone behind us that can support in case the ball gets behind us. If a Jackson or wherever drops deep, you've got Botman here adding that extra aerial support and as well as on the ground duels. But he's not too worried either, because if a Jackson, for instance, gets past them, you've got Guehi here sweeping up and gathering the loose ball. So like those highlights, those examples I showed you guys earlier, you've got when you see, for instance, Shaw dropping back against the Palmer because he's scared of the pace, he's scared of what, or even a Welbeck, he's scared of their pace, he doesn't get tight to them. You're going to get a Marc Guehi who has the pace, who has the ability to gather up the ball, to get the ball, and to be effective in that way. So this is the key, and I think a Marc Guehi, and this is what Eddie Howe's looking at. A Marc Guehi is absolutely superb and complements the profile of a Botman really, really well. So before I get back to him, I'm going to read the comments as well. But let me set my because I'm going to also before I get back to Marc Guehi's stats. Where are you, Mr. Guehi? Got you here. Brilliant. So before I get to Mr. Guehi's stats, let me go through you guys' comments. Aaron Kainth. Ideally, we want our front three to be fluid. Yeah, definitely. Gordon is a short-term fix, but ideally... Okay, so you're answering my earlier question. Okay, Gordon is a short-term fix, but ideally we want to play on the left, cutting and causing that damage. Yeah. And you know what? Fair point. That's what Eddie Howe wants. Someone like Mbeumo, would be perfect for that right side. I agree. And I guess to you and maybe a lot of other people as well, that's more valuable to having the right centre back as well. For me, I think for the overall structure, the first thing would be a right centre back. But maybe we can have both. Let's see. But really, really good comment there. I appreciate Aaron for that. Lee, have I missed much, buddy? Well, I've just started on the first of the profiles, which is Marc Guehi. There's two more others to go. I spoke about essentially how, if, for instance, we know that Marc Guehi was the person who Eddie Howe especially pursued. So if Marc Guehi was the answer, what was the question? And we talked about how essentially how Shaw and Byrne, despite their qualities, some of their qualities in the ball and their service, they're aging and they're lacking athleticism. They're lacking the pace that we need, and attackers are taking advantage of that. We've seen that against Jackson and Palmer, and because of their fragility on the flanks and their pace and stuff like that, and again exploited like that, oftentimes you see huge gaps being created between our defense, our midfield as well. And so, and when if you add the Marc Guehi or that type of profile instead of a Shah, and together to play with a Botman, who God willing is going to be back in December, you totally alleviate that problem in the first place. So just talking about Botman, who'll be stepping in, being a front-footed defender into that midfield, giving us a numerical advantage. And even if the ball does get past him, if a player like a Jackson, a Palmer, or anybody else do get past him for any other reason, you have a Guehi like clamping him down, having that pace, even just to keep up with them and keep them away from the goal, or meeting them rather than running back because he's scared they're going to run past him. So, yeah, I think I fast forwarded you onto there, Lee. Hope all is well with you, sir. Oliver Simon Jordan. What? Nah, the fact that Eddie didn't play Tonali against Arsenal and we look so much more balanced suggests Bruno and Tonali can't click together. I think, but remember, they're already playing better. They played, the team as a whole were playing better, and before those games as well. And I think the reason why Bruno is so crucial is obviously his ability to be press resistant on the ball as well. Tonali's got the recovery pace. He can be press resistant as well. But can we get? I think they got profiles to complement each other. You got the athleticism and strength and a kind of tactical intelligence of a Tonali, which are qualities that Bruno has. But you got the extra press resistance that a Bruno has, and I think those guys can play together. If Man City can do it with a Kovacic and a Silva and Ilkay Gundogan. And they've been doing it for years. I know those guys are older and slower now, but when they were at their peak, and then that David Silva, why can't we do it? That adds a lot of technical ability to our midfield, and I think that's what Eddie Howe is looking for, in my opinion. And they're complemented by the running power and physicality of a Willock, of a Joe Linton, and Tonali and others as well. And so I think there's a complement in profiles there. But yeah, that's my opinion, Oliver, and I think we'll see the more they play together, the better we see that happening. But it's good to have that. We have that kind of we've got abundance and talent in midfield at the moment, which is good to see. Oliver Simon Jordan, most of the time when they've played together this season, they've been dreadful. You think so? I'll have to pay. I disagree. I think there's a lot more to that. I think part of the reason why they've been dreadful is what we're talking about now, is the massive gaps that have been created between our midfield and our defense, which in the last 5 games maybe, have been getting better. But that's my take. Aaron Kainth, what about someone like Diomande? Yeah, I've talked about Diomande in the past. Very talented player, very fast, aerially dominant, and can break lines with ease. Could he be a good profile complement for Botman? I think he could be. Absolutely. I think and he might still be the person they're looking at, to be honest, as well. I've just chosen the guys that I've chosen. Obviously, Marc Guehi is a big profile. There's another player that I'm going to look at who has recently come up in the news, but I'm also looking at their contract situations, and I'm looking at what could be possible in this January specifically. But Diomande possibly as well. I forgot, if you got transfermarket.com, do find out, see what his contract situation is, because that's going to be big. Because I remember his price being previously like 50-60 million pounds, and that's a bit steep for a centre back from a Portuguese league. Portuguese leagues are, nowhere near the Premier League, and I think Eddie Howe would hesitate to spend that much money on a centre back who's not played in the Premier League before. But if he's at a contract where it's due to run out in the next 18 months, for instance, and the price is getting a little bit lower, that's something I think he'll look at. All right, so, but do let me know, Aaron. Do let me know what contract he's on. All right, so going back to Marc Guehi and some of his stats, we talked about his ability on the ball, those diagonal passes, those which you can see is 99% out. This is compared to other centre backs, so really high in shots on target compared to other centre backs. So it's very, very high in terms of other centre backs. But the main thing is passing ability, passes from free kicks, 89% out, fouls drawn, like a Bruno Guimaraes who gets fouled all the time as well because of his ability on the ball. 89, because he's taking on players all the time, and those are incredible stats as well. Dribblers, percentage of dribblers tackled. So this is him coming up against other dribblers. 87% out. So that highlight, if you guys saw earlier, or if you guys who haven't seen my just a little bit earlier, where I showed how Shaw backed away from a Palmer, a dribbler, backed away from a Welbeck, backed away from various other centre backs who were able to get past him because he's scared about that. And you've got a Marc Guehi who is in the 87 percentile, so very, very, very high, who's willing to press up and tackle these guys and has a really high winning percentage. That is incredible. So not only good on the ball, but good in the tackles as well. Touches, 84 percentiles, very, very key in the build-up play. That shows this is in the defensive part, which shows that he's very, very key in the build-up of play as well. Passes completed long, 82% now, breaking the lines. We saw those diagonals left and right, incredible. Passes blocked. So this is him, and no, this is for me an indicator of his interceptions and his ability to anticipate and to break up play from the opposition side of things. Again, something that Eddie Howe's looking for. Goals, 81% are. Non-penalty goals, 81% are. So he's a very, very offensive centre-back as well. And I think, in my opinion, he would complement a Botman very, very well. This is his heat map currently this year. You can see this is from left to right. Again, you can see him very much in the offensive half as well. And because he has the ability on the ball, his athleticism, his ability to tackle dribblers, his confidence in himself, and that brings confidence to the back line, that brings confidence to the centre-back. If you're a Tonali or Bruno, and you know you got a Marc Guehi and Botman behind you, how much confident are you in pressing forward the opposition? How much confident are you, perhaps even in making those kind of key, kind of risky passes through balls as well, being a bit more creative up front because you're not overly worried about losing the ball because you got those guys behind you. And this is why Eddie Howe was so desperate to get Marc Guehi. And I think he's looking for a similar profile type of player as well. All right, so that's Marc Guehi. He's the first of the three guys as well. I was hoping to get it done a lot quicker, but it's fine. We'll do it. This is where we're at. I've got 2 more to go, but they're fantastic picks. So guys, do look out for them. Hunter. Okay, so Hunter, good to see you, sir, as well. So you've picked up on the Diamande deal. He's got 2.5 years left on the Diamande. So does that mean this January he'll have 2 years left, and then the summer he'll have 18 months left? Okay, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's around 50. Oh, here we go. You actually answered that. Aaron Kent. Diamande's contract expires in 2027. He seems like a Paul Mitchell kind of signing. He would be a Paul Mitchell type of signing before he got to Portugal. So before he went to Sporting Lisbon, that's who he's looking for. He's looking for Diamande before he went to Sporting Lisbon, and is now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time I saw his market value was around 50 million, 60 million. Let me know what his market value is. So, but if you also look at Diamande before he went to Sporting Lisbon, tell me that price range. Tell me what he was and what his age is. And then that's the key. That's the Diamande that Paul Mitchell is looking for, in my opinion. Aaron Kempf has an £80 million euro release clause as well. Something to bear in mind. That's steep. You might as well get Guehi. you might as well pay the 75 million for Guehi, in my opinion. But we're not paying 75. The max I think we're paying is between 40 to 50, in my opinion. And finally, before I move on to the next centre back, Oliver Simon-Jordan, are we even going to go back in for Mark in January? Well, look, I had a show where I said, and we was talking about the news reports from the I newspaper. Mark Douglas, the journalist there who had the 1.5 hour long interview with Paul Mitchell, he reported that Newcastle are unlikely to go back to Marc Guehi, and they're in fact looking for a right winger. But is this a bit of brinkmanship? Is this a bit of like a way of sending the message out to Palace? It could be to say, look, we're not interested anymore, and we're moving on, and maybe unsettle them a little bit more, and maybe kind of indirectly push them to make the deal. I don't know. Because this January will be 18 months left on his contract. This will be the peak of his price. It's not going to get any higher, and so otherwise in the summertime he's just going to make a deal even less and less likely. So that could be the deal to make for them in Crystal Palace's situation as well. But yeah, you could be right. So my next centre back is, but great question though. My next question centre back is, and this is, I want to give credit to David Eddie. I don't know if he's on here today, but he told me about this gentleman, and that is when I've got a scouting report on him, and his name is Odilon Kossounou Cacao. So Odilon, and I'm going to put him up in a moment. His sharing stats, his profile, and if folks will remember, he's the gentleman that played for Bayern Leverkusen last season. Oh, if you guys can hear the fireworks there. He played for Bayern Leverkusen in the last season when they went unbeaten. They won the Bundesliga. Not only did they win the Bundesliga, but they also won, I forgot they call that trophy, but their version of the FA Cup. They also went as far as the final in the Europa League, unbeaten again, and lost in that final. That was the only game they lost that season. Odilon was part of that backline. He played roughly, I think all in all, he played 35 games as well, including the European games and the Cup games as well. So he was very, very important in what they were doing. So Odilon, let me share his profile, and the reason why I bring him up, I'm gonna when I share this as well. This is the reason why I bring him up. So Odilon's, I'm gonna go back a bit backwards to go forward. So Odilon was linked to Newcastle United in that summer transfer window. He was actually linked to Premier League clubs in general, but as Newcastle were very much the club that were looking for, kind of high-profile club that were looking for a centre back, he was obviously very much linked to us. Let me bring this up. So Odilon, as mentioned, he was playing for Bayer Leverkusen. However, let me make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, you can. However, he made it very, very clear after that season with Bayer Leverkusen that he wanted to move to the Premier League. They wanted him to sign a contract because his contract currently runs out in 2026. So they wanted to sign a new contract, which he essentially refused to do, and said that he wanted to play in the Premier League. And so this is reported here, as reported by kicker Bayer Leverkusen centre-back Odilon Kossounou could leave the club this summer. For a number of weeks, it appeared, though, that the deal works off. I guess this Bayer Leverkusen would begin the defense of the Bundesliga title without Jonathan Tah. However, with Bayern electing to sign the 28-year-old, Champions League was set to the backline intact for comment. So, nevertheless, so they got all these other players. Hintapi was also linked to other clubs as well. And now Kossounou, as well as this, kicker now suggesting that Kossounou, Odilon, could also leave. The 24-year-old refusing to sign a new contract. His contract runs out in 2026 as well. So he was linked. He's made it clear that he wants to play in the Premier League. However, and I think there was a Premier League club that was set to step forward for him. That deal never materialized, and instead he went to Atlanta. Now he went to Atlanta on a loan, initial loan with an option to buy. So he's currently with on loan to Atlanta for this season, and they have an option to buy. The loan in itself is £5 million, and the option to buy is for €30 million. So it's like a 35 million, if you include everything together, €35 million deal, which in pounds is about £30 million. So I mention that because if Newcastle were interested in him, he's not very expensive, especially in the January transfer window. Let me get his profile up and let's see if he's actually good enough. for Newcastle United. He's obviously played in an invincible Bayern Leverkusen side, was very, very important in that side as well. Let me get his profile up and why he's so to see what it was about him that clubs were looking at. So this is the scouting report. Let me get this up. Again, he has quite similar qualities, just obviously profiles to the guys that we're talking about as well. So he plays on the right side of when we play for Bayern Leverkusen. Bayern Leverkusen like to play with three centre backs at the back, and he played on the right side of that centre backs at the back. Bayern Leverkusen play with a very, very aggressive high press, and because of the pace and athleticism of Odilon, Hinsape, and Edmund Tamsoba, who was also linked to Newcastle, they were able to do that. So it says here, for instance, that Ivorian, that's Odilon, is reliable and aggressive player in defensive issues, combined with good quality and game understanding in the offensive play. So it's very, very offensive player. His size is very, very tall as well, unlike Marc Guehi. Marc Guehi, if I didn't mention his weakness is aerial duels. He's often targeted by oppositions because of his lack of prowess in the aerial duels. It's the opposite for Mr. Odilon, even though some stats say otherwise, which is weird. But this scout report says he's very good in the air. Physicality with great body ratio makes him a player that imposes in situations. He's also quite fast and agile for a centre back with good positioning and style, establishing a high defensive line and defending forward. So it's very, very good. It's very, very fast. Very good in his one situations. Again, it says here Kossounou is dominant in the aerial game too, having some of the best records in the German Bundesliga, being able to play as the last man when the team. Again, being able to play as the last man when his team presses high, obeying rivals to play long balls. So the reason why Leverkusen were playing so high, they wanted the rivals to do long direct balls because they could rely on Kossounou to sweep them up with his pace, athleticism, his dominance in 1v1 duels. Again, very, very similar to a profile to a Marc Guehi. So when you've got a Botman really, really pressing up, adding another numerical advantage in the midfield, and he's not overly worried if they go direct, if the ball goes over his head or to a strike or whatnot, or he goes into attack, or if he gets bypassed, he'll have an Odilon behind him who's very, very able with his pace, athleticism, and his ability in 1v1 duels to stop those attacks straight away. He's also got very good value on the ball. He's also a key factor, as it says here, his value on the ball is also a key factor, being an active element on the build-up phase of his team. He's got technical ability, although his technical levels are average, because Kossounou is a player who feels confident and calm on the ball. I forgot who mentioned in the comments we need someone who's calm on the ball, looking to progress in the game. His short and medium passes is good. So it's very, very good. Being able to go a little bit further down, he's able to activate. So what is this? It says his strong weapon for. So he's long passing he's very good long passing. Strong weapon for a vertical and dynamic squad as Leverkusen, being able to activate wingers in the depth of and things like that. He's got a big stride. He's able to easily surpass rivals, breaking rival defenses and projecting into the attack. So he's very, very good. He's a 1v1's very good on the ball, very calm as well. And, look, he's 23 years old. He's very young, solid, reliable centre-back. He's the kind of modern defender mixing modern defenders, centre-backs we talked about earlier, mixing ball-playing ability and defensive solidity characteristics that may help him. He's able to reach his full potential. So, look, this guy is available, in my opinion, for between 30 to 35 million euros, which is about 30 million pounds. He's already at Atalanta with an option to buy a deal. Leverkusen have made it very clear they're willing to sell him. He's made it very clear he's not willing to sign a contract. This January will be very, very interested. Do Atalanta take the option to buy? And even if they do, if Newcastle make it very clear they want him, and he's already made it clear that he wants to play in the Premier League, does that not give us the edge, in my opinion? And I think being greedy here. Even if we were to get an Mbeumo for £50 million, we still have enough. We still, with a potential 30, £35 million outlay on Kossounou. This makes this deal very, very good. But let's look at Kossounou. Is he actually really good? Let's look at a few highlights of him as well. I haven't got to see him play in depth very well. So let me make sure you guys can see the screen there. Can you guys see the screen? Yep, yes you can. Guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. And let me know if you like the mic. This is my first time using it. I hope the sound is better. So this is Mr. Kossounou. He's there. Obviously, you can see in the back three here, Leverkusen are in the white in this situation. And this is what they're talking about his in terms of his ability, in terms of tackling ability there. Shows his man the flank. Really good closing down there as well. Again, look how high they press. Look how high. Look how high. They're in the opposition half. And he's hounding them down, pressing, tackling. You can clearly see he's got really strong running power. Again, power, strength. He's able to close down players on the flank and show them the flank there, just like that. Look at that strength. Gets the guy off the pitch. Wins his team a corner. Look how high he is winning the ball. Look how high he is winning the ball there. Now, I know these highlight reels that, they always show the best of attackers. And, you can also create of any player. You can always create the lowlights. But, we've read the player scout report. I'm going to show you the stats. And look, this is his ability on the ball. Decent. Look at that. Long ball ability as well with his right foot. Very, very good. Very, very good. Offensive player. Always looking to push it forward. This is, he was part of that Leverkusen team. Again, look, this is for the Ivory Coast. He was part of that. Leverkusen team that won the Invincibles. And so, look, he's available for 30, £35 million. Guys, let me know what you think. Let me go back to his stats. So he's as mentioned, 1v1, very good off the ball. Does a very similar. If he were to play next to Botman, he would do a very similar job to a Marc Guehi, where you'd have Botman stepping into that midfield, and you'd have Odilon Kossounou kind of sweeping up at the back and behind Botman should anybody get past him. So, again, offensively very good. Got the pace, got the athleticism. He was a big reason, a big part of why Leverkusen were able to play so high up. And look, this is his stats from the last 365 days. These are the same stats that show that he lost a lot in his area. So if you look there, it seems like he lost a lot of aerials lost. So I don't know what that means, but the scout, I don't know if that's the difference. So it says aerials lost. He's in 93% out. So does that mean he's bad or good? I don't get that. Or is it is it a typo? We just read a scouting report that says he's excellent in the air. So I don't know what's changed. But look, progressive carries, ability to carry the ball from A to B, 99% out. Take on attempting. Again, what we've seen with Marc Guehi, dropping the shoulder, getting past getting past the forwards that are trying to press him, dropping the shoulder, getting past the forwards, and breaking the lines that way, and getting the numerical advantage in the midfield. 99% out. Successful take-ons. Now, again, I know this is obviously in Bundesliga, which is slightly less intense, only slightly less intense in quality than compared to the Premier League, but it's still, I think it's second in terms of the Premier League as well. He was in that invincible season as well, so he was a big part of that. Excellent progressive carries, excellent take-ons, excellent passes, progressive passes, 98% out, carries into the final third, 97% out, passes into the final third, 95% out. So he's at the top of the top in terms of all of those things. Ball recoveries, so collecting those loose balls, 90% out. Through balls, so again, breaking the lines, 88% out. Pass completion, long, 87% out. Fantastic. Touches in the mid third, so again, adding that numerical advantage in the midfield. Supporting the midfield, 87% out. Dribbles challenged, so him challenging dribblers, 87 percentile. I wonder how many he was successful at. Dribblers tackled. Does it say here? Dribblers tackled 87%. Oh, sorry, 80 percentile. So an incredible mixture of defensive attributes, tackling, as well as on the ball attributes. For me, he has all the characteristics to be a very, very successful centre back at Newcastle United. If you can see this heat map, this is from this year. Obviously, he's playing at excuse me, he's playing at Atalanta. I think he's only had 4 starts. It seems a bit of a mixed start at the moment. I haven't seen him play, to be fair, but reading some of his stats, they've played 8-9 games. He's only played in 8. So that, why is that type of thing? What's going on with that? But if you see his heat map again, this is from left to right. From defense to the other side, it's almost equal. So he still plays very, very offensively, very much, very forward as well, which is exactly what Eddie Howe is looking for. When you got a guy with his pace, with his athleticism, it's not surprising that he does that. So guys, let me know, what do you think of Odilon Kossounou? I rate him very, very highly. I think he's very good. His contract, like, again, runs out in 2026. He's already made it very, very clear that, look, I want to play in the Premier League, and the price for him has already been set. Like I said, he's been loaned out to Atlanta for this year for 5 million. With an option to buy, which is another 30 million. So it's about 35 million euros, about 30 million pounds. The price is already set on him, 30 million pounds for Odilon Kossounou, part of the Bayern Leverkusen Invincibles team. Aaron Kaempf here says, seems like a perfect profile to complement Botman. I agree. I really, really agree. I think and when we're talking about a Paul Mitchell type of signing, if we're talking about Paul Mitchell type of signing, I think that's Kossounou. I think that'll be a Kossounou that he'll go right for him. 30 million pounds. Take him on right now in the January. Absolutely. I think the hesitancy from Howard is, well, how long would it take him to settle into the Premier League? Compared to Marc Guehi, it will be plug and play. Like, he's already in the Premier League, has been playing in the Premier League for 3-4 years. Has come from a very good academy in Chelsea. He's proven, he's certified. He can literally leave Crystal Palace on the first Monday in January and play for Newcastle that Saturday with no problems. So I think that's what Eddie Howe will be looking at. But Paul Mitchell will have a little bit more long-term vision. He would say, look, 30 million for Kossounou, with his attributes, which are very similar to a Marc Guehi, plus he's got the height. He's like 6'3", 6'4". He's about the same height as a Botman, or near enough. He's just faster as well. So if you're a Botman and you've got a guy with that level of pace and that kind of ability on the ball in 1v1 duels, why would you not? They complement each other very, very well. If the only setback is he hasn't played in the Premier League, I think Kossounou would be a club signing. A Guehi would be an Eddie Howe signing. So let me know, guys. What do you guys think? Aaron Kaempf here says, you sold him to me. If you can get Mbeumo for 50 million, that'll be an incredible window. I've already estimated, this is Philip's estimations, that I think Newcastle have about 108 million pounds they can spend in the next 2 windows. They have to make sales. The big thing is going to be sales. We're talking about buying players at the moment, but the big thing in this transfer window is going to be sales, which players we can sell. But in a hypothetical dream world, if you can get a Kossounou for 30 million pounds, and then the price is set for Mbeumo, we don't have to meet the 50 million asking price if there's nobody else meeting it. So we could still get him for 40, 45 million. In which case, we'd spend 85 million on the right centre back and the right winger. And that still leaves, if you guys seen articles, there's a huge budget, biggest budget ever for Paul Mitchell to buy essentially kind of youth players, sell to buy players, or buy players that might be in the first team in the future, but not now. So like a Joshua Achipong, 17, 18, 19-year-old. So that will leave Paul Mitchell with a lot of money to still spend on those type of potentials and those type of talents. So look, Kossounou, guys, let me know what would you do if you got a Guehi Kossounou? Who would you go for? 45, 50 million pounds for for a Guehi, or for a 30, 35 million pounds Kossounou? You guys, let me know. One has all the Premier League experience. The other one is a Bundesliga champion, FA Cup double champion, an invincible, a Europa Cup finalist. You guys let me know. I kind of, maybe I've overplayed a bit of Consal, but I haven't played it. That's what he is. And so let me know. Let me know. So before I move on to that one, let me read one more comment. Move on to our third and final defender. It's Aaron Kainth. Eddie tends to be, yeah, it's true. Eddie tends to bed players in slowly. It happened with Bruno Gomes. I remember those days. Everyone can see his quality, and it took about 10 plus games. And the only reason Sven Botman was able to start relatively quickly after 6-7 games because Jamal Lascelles got injured. Or was it Byrne? One of the players got injured. That's the only reason. Everybody has to look at Tonali, look at Gordon. Gordon had to wait 6 months, 8 months, had to go England tournament, win a tournament before Eddie Howe played him in the first team. You're right. And at the end of the day, it's look at Lewis Hall, look at Tino Livramento. But it works. At the end of the day, it works. Sorry, you said, yeah, Eddie tends to bed players in slowly. We could bring him in slowly, like, yeah, Kossounou, yeah, and get him used to the things like we have with Bruno, with Tonali, because Shaw can still do a job this. Yeah, exactly. But if you're Eddie Howe and you need results now, like most managers do, you know, you've seen our fans before we beat Chelsea and we beat Arsenal this season. The games before that, people already saying, you know, how there's pressure on Howe if he doesn't do this. So it's no wonder that a Howe would prefer a Guehi who can literally plug and play, go straight into the team and just get started. So I think that's what Eddie Howe is looking at as well. Yeah, I'll read a couple more comments before I go into our final defender. Oliver Simon Jordan, we need ready-made first team players. Simple. I agree. Are you saying Kossounou isn't a ready-made first team player? He is ready-made first team player. In terms of like, he's already proven that he's a Bundesliga champion and an invincible. Whether he's a ready-made first team Premier League player is a different question. But I see it depends on the manager. Paul Mitchell would put him in. Eddie Howe would take a little bit more time. So it kind of depends. It kind of depends as well. I think Kossounou could be that guy. He could be, in my opinion. All right. So, but let me know what you think, Oliver. I'll be really, really interested to see. Are you talking about Kossounou? I just wanted to confirm that. My final player that I have profiled, and he's also come up in the news from Graham Bailey. For the folks that know him, he's like a transfer journal specialist. And this is Loic Bade. Loic Bade, who plays for Sevilla. He came there from Toulouse. He's currently 23, 24 years old. Let me confirm something about him as well. His contract though runs out in 2029. He's a right centre back for them as well. Let me bring up his profile. Now, interestingly, when I was looking up his profile, it appears that Liverpool were for a period of time and could still be actually, were very, very keen on him. And there was the article that I'm about to look at is a scouting report or article / scouting report from a journal. I think it's a Liverpool fan who was looking at Bade as a potential replacement for Virgil van Dijk and kind of assessing whether Bade was that guy essentially. And I think he came to the conclusion that he could be, which is very, very interesting and kind of really sets the kind of tone for what they think. So exactly, the title is, Can Loic Bade Fill Van Dijk's Shoes? So let me share this with you guys. Let me see if you guys can see it. Yeah, you guys can see it there. So Loic Bade, 23, 24 years old, plays for Sevilla. I can't remember if he won the Europa Cup with them as well. So this is his stats for, is it this year so far going forward? I think it is. When was this article written? September 2024. Okay, so last season. Okay, so this is pretty much up to date. This is talking about him from last season. I'm gonna go down because this is where they get to the interesting part. So his obvious like kind of qualities in terms of like stats, and we're gonna look at them more in depth, is his ability in tackles and interceptions in the 94th percentile. So he's very, very good at that. 81 percentile for aerials duels won, which is really good. Again, 76% of dribbleless tackles is a 76% percentile for that. Lower than Marc Guehi, lower than Odilon Kossounou in those situations as well. 97 percentile in take-on, so he's good at taking the ball on as well. But there's other areas that is pretty low on, which is progressive carries, progressive passes, very, very low. Pass completion percentage as well. Now, some of these things could be down to the team that he's playing, and I don't think I wonder if I'm going to. You guys, let me know what place. If anybody can in the comments, let me know what position are Sevilla currently in, or were they in last season? Because I remember them having some financial difficulties as well. Okay, so this is what they say. This is how they've rounded off on Loic Bade, and this is the journalists talking about themselves, and obviously they're thinking about Virgil van Dijk. Is Loic Bade the man to fill in Virgil van Dijk's shoes? This is what they say. As a Liverpool supporter, the potential signing of Loic Bade brings a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. Van Dijk has been the foundation of Liverpool's defense for so long that it's so hard to imagine life without him marshalling the backline. Okay, so however, well, it would for anybody. However, if any club can rebuild and evolve, it's Liverpool, especially under the guidance of Arne Slot, who has already shown his tactical acumen. Okay, so this is a really recent article. So Bade, with his pace, aerial ability, comfort on the ball, ticks a lot of boxes for what Liverpool needed. So he has those ability. Clearly, it just hasn't come out on the stats. I wonder if it's because the way Sevilla play. So he's obviously good on, from this report, he is good on the ball. Though not every stat suggests that. His relatively young age suggests he could become a mainstay in the defense for years to come. Yeah, he's 23, 24 years old. Nevertheless, the Premier League is unforgiving. Yeah, and this relates to Odilon Kossounou as well. Unforgiving, and there will undoubtedly be concerns about whether he can handle the physicality and pressure of playing for a club with such expectations. True. So in terms of leadership, Liverpool, and look, this is where Marc Guehi wins a lot, is outstanding at. We already know he's got those qualities. He has leadership qualities. Captain of Crystal Palace, potential future captain of England as well. In terms of leadership, Liverpool also need to ensure that the dressing room remains united. Even in Van Dijk's absence, this could mean nurturing other leaders within the squad, such as Alexander. Okay, so if Liverpool manage to secure Bade, it will be a statement of intent that Reds remain. Okay, so the end result is if Liverpool manage to secure Bade, it will be a statement of intent that the Reds remain committed to maintaining their dominance both domestically and in Europe. So, he gets a big thumbs up, Bade, from their point of view, that this could be the guy. And I've seen it as well in terms of Forest reject. Yeah, Jonathan, you came up, Bade is ex-Forest. What happened to him at Forest? Why wasn't it successful? And at the same time, players get rejected by clubs all the time and then still move on and end up being great in other places as well. So I'm not overly hung up on that, but I'd love to know why he wasn't successful at Forest. That would be really key for me. Aaron, thanks for doing that. Sevilla currently 13th in La Liga. So they're currently 13th in La Liga. Was that their position last year as well? And I can only assume that they must play in a very and I should have looked at this, but I can only assume they might play in a defensive style. Like they're not a high pressing team like a Leverkusen, and more so now like a Crystal Palace as well. I can only really assume that. But thank you for Aaron for looking that up. So that's this journalist, Liverpool fan, really rates Mr. Bade, holds him in high regard, does acknowledge that, look, there's areas that he could improve on the ball on, even though he has high take-ons, he is calm on the ball, but he hasn't got the same passing range Where is it? Where is that big old thing? Yeah, like he's a progressive passer, 30% out. Is that more to do with this team or is that him? Pass completion really, really low, So I'd love to know that. I'd love to know their playing style. That's the part I need to research. So let's have a look at. Let's have a little look at of. Let me share this. Let me see if you guys can see that. First, let's have a little look at Mr. Bade. Let's see how good or bad he is. And again, I understand and we know, highlights of players showing their best, but we've looked at scouting reports, we're looking at data and stats, and we're looking at the clips as well. And like I said, we've just read it from a journalist who's a Liverpool fan who did a scouting report on him, and he says that, look, Bade seems to be like the man. So let's have a look at him and see what they think of him. So this is him playing for Sevilla. This is season 2024 highlights. So this is from last season. So this is him carrying the ball. I think this is Celta Vigo. So he seems pretty nifty there. This is him carrying the ball, passing it off there. Yeah, he does have pace. Look at that. Showing the guy down the flanks. Really good there. Take-ons, dropping the shoulder. He can get past players. And I think he's very high in the take-on situation as well. A few long passes there. That's pretty good. But it's, even though he's in the 30% off for that, why? What's the reason for that? How does Sevilla play? Or is it him? It appears, maybe these are the one or two times he is actually good at it. So this is him there. Yeah, pressing up high. Okay, decent pass again from distance there. Look at him picking up the ball high, pressing up really, really high. Again with the long ball. So to me, I know what you guys think. He's got that ability on the ball. He can press, he can tackle. He's already shown that in the statistics. And speaking of statistics as well, let's look at those as well before we wrap this up. Let's have a look at his statistics as well a little bit more. We looked a little bit on that report as well. And I think it's the same. What is it currently on FB Ref is what I want to see. Loic Bade. He plays for France as well, I think under 21s team. So that's pretty good as well. That shows you that maybe the quality there as well. So Loic Bade, so his contract, as I mentioned, is in 2020, runs out in 2029. I believe, and if anybody can, there's a release clause. I can't remember if there's an article that I read. I feel like there's a 50 or 40 million euro release clause on his contract. Guys, if you guys can, please do let me know in the comment section. So I think he has a release clause, but his current contract, as we know it, runs out in 2029. So in terms of the things that he's really, really good at, tackles, very good at tackles, 99% are successful take-ons. And we've seen that again for this video, 98% now. He can get past the man. Very similar to Marc Guehi, very similar to Mr. Kossounou. He's able to break the lines that way as well. Tackles 97% now. Tackles and interceptions. So this kind of shows really high anticipation rate. When you're able to cut out passes, interceptions at 96% now, that's really, really good. Touches in his side, so 95% now. That again indicates to me that the team rely on him a lot in the build-up play as well. Dribblers tackle, so he tackles a lot of dribblers, and we've seen that in the highlights as well. 92% now. So if when they're setting up and they've got tricky players who can dribble and stuff like that, the manager and the team really rely on him to be able to do that. 92% are dribblers challenged, 89% are. So he challenges. So he's actually, his tackle rate is even higher than his attempted rate. Ball recoveries, so getting those loose balls, 85% are. Aerial duels won, 83%. He's actually gone a bit higher since that last report. The last report had him at 76, so he's gone even higher, 83%. Because I think his height, 191 centimeters. So he's about 2 centimeters, just about 2 centimeters shorter than Kossounou, who's about 6'3", 6'4". So he's about 6'2", 6'3" himself. Guehi's the shortest out of all of them. He's 5'10", and his aerial duels aren't very good at all. He's in the 58% out for that as well. So his one's 83% are switches. So switches of play, the same things that we talked about Kossounou. So he's actually gone up, 81% are. Very good. Aerial Jules 179. So look, um, uh, he promised. He's again. I haven't seen him live, but the scouting reports, the highlights that we've seen about him, to me, he seems very, very promising. These are his. This is his current heat map. Again, very similar to Shah, very similar to Guehi, very similar to all the right centre backs who are playing in relatively high pressing teams. Very, very good. So you can see that he's got the pace, the ability on the ball to be, in the mid part of the field as well. This is from left to right. Plays for France as well, so he's got ability on the ball. He's calm on the ball. You can see he can take on a man as well. He's his take on is extremely, extremely high. So he will be able to break presses, break from the opposition forwards by either pass. You've seen him drop the shoulder, use acceleration to get past the forwards. So very, very similar profile to, in terms of that, to Marc Guehi and to Kossounou as well. Has all the ability in the world. His contract, as we talked about, ends in 2029. I think there's a £50 million release clause. I don't know if anybody's able to back me up on that. Oh, I see there, Connor, 60 million euros. So about 55 million pounds. If you're asking Eddie Howe, he'd rather pay 50 million euros for Guehi. If you're asking for Paul Mitchell, he wouldn't want to pay that money for either of them. You prefer to pay 30 million euros for Kossounou. That's what I think. 16. Thanks for that, Connor. Thank you. And thank you for anybody else who's researched that. That's very, very interesting. So, guys, what do you guys think of Mr. Bade? I'm going to be looking these guys up on them as well. Very interesting profile. Liverpool seem to be looking at him very, very deeply. I think the last I heard, they've got scouts who are now assigned to him from now until the end of the year. So they're really, really looking deeply into him. So before we kind of round things off and do a conclusion, I was meant to finish an hour 30 minutes ago, but it's been fun. I hope you guys have been having fun. We've looked at some really, really talented right centre backs, in my opinion. But let's read the comments and get a conclusion. I want to get you guys to tell me, out of the guys that we have looked at, so that's Loic Bade, Odilon Kossounou from Leverkusen, currently playing at Atalanta, and Mr. Marc Guehi. Who do you think Newcastle should go for? And I know there's a big difference between who you think Newcastle should go for and who they would likely go. If all those three players were available, who would they likely go for? That would be another thing as well. There's a different answer, but who would you go for if we had the financial, if it was pretty free to do that? Aaron Kane for Sevilla, currently 13th. Yep, thank you for that. Yeah, I remember you said that. Salah was not. Aaron Kane. Salah was not good at Chelsea. Exactly. He was not good at Chelsea. Mr. KDB wasn't good at Chelsea. Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, look where they are right now. They're all Chelsea rejects, but they're doing pretty well at Newcastle United. Exactly. Last season, they finished 14th. So this is like they're below currently. I know they got an incredible Europa League pedigree, but they're like in the table, they're pretty low. I can only assume that they're not. I have to look at their playing style. Yeah, I have to look at their play. I think they must be a defensive team. Thank you for that, Aaron. Oliver Simon Jordan. Yeah, Chris Wood, only 8 goals for us. He's got 8 in 10 at Forest. He's doing well. He is. He's having a great time. Oliver Simon Jordan only scored 1 goal at St. James's Park. Yeah, he did. But he did the job, which was to keep us up. And Jonathan, Forest terminated Bade. Okay, yeah, here we go. Thank you for that, Jonathan. Forest terminated Bade deal halfway through the season without playing a game. Now, I wonder what the reason for that is. Is it a player problem? Did he fall out with the manager? Did he fall out? Was it a situation there? Or We know that Forest like bought like 20 players, was it? Was it the same season they bought like 20 players and they got promoted? You know? And then they shifted like 13, 15 players. Next sold 15 players, then bought, Elliot Anderson as well, and stuff like that. So I don't know if all of that was in Bade's control, for instance. But you tell me, like I'm not gonna put it on him because look, now Liverpool are scouting him. Yeah. So as you said, Connor, Bade's £60 million release clause. £60 million release clause. Oh, interesting. So Bade looked good in the Olympics. Oh, so you saw him, Jonathan. Fantastic. Very average in La Liga this season and now injured. Yeah, I did see that. I did injure. And, in the last year, he's had a few injuries as well. So I haven't looked too deeply into them because, if he's only come up as on the list type of thing. If his name comes up more and more, I'm going to be a lot more extensive. I'm going to be looking at what happened to him at Forest. Why didn't he play a single game? I'm going to be looking at a lot more deeply into his injury record and stuff like that. Like, why is he getting injured and stuff like that? If it's, stuff on the field, impact injury is fine. But if it's off, then what is it? Connor, check out Abdul Qadir Kossounou. Okay, I'll look him up. Let me make sure I got him up. Let me copy it. Let me make sure I start this. Okay, Abdul Qadir Kossounou. I'll look him up. Thank you for that, Connor. Jonathan, first option, Kossounou. Oh, so you want first option Kossounou, then it's Bade. Last option, Guehi with. Oh no, okay. First option Kossounou. Bade last option. Guehi would be first option if it's a lot cheaper than the 70 million or a free. I don't think he'll be 70 million, Jonathan. He's got 18 months left in January. And I think that 75 million was always pie in the sky. Newcastle, and it's even said in an article by Mark Douglas that Newcastle made a final bid for him 17 days from the transfer window. And I believe that bid was around £50 million. And Newcastle are not going higher than that. And I anticipate that's going to be the same price this January. And the reason why it's the same price this January is because by this summer, you're probably going to get your Liverpools, your others now looking at him and saying, we'll pay 40 million and stuff like that. That 50 million price keeps us competitive and allows us to get in early and kind of get him. So let me know, Jonathan, if Marc Guehi is available 50 million. We now know Bade is worth 60 million euros release clause, which is about 55 million pounds as well. So very similar to Marc Guehi price. And we now know Kossounou is worth around 35 million pounds. So 35 million euros, about 30 million pounds. If does that change your mind? Let me know. So like you said, first option Kossounou, Bade last option. Guehi would be first option if it's a lot cheap. So let me know if Guehi was available for 50 million pounds. Let me know, guys. Let me know. So let me put these guys up final time as we do a conclusion. I'll give you guys my take, my conclusion on all these guys and what I think as well. Before we wrap this show up, my longer show so far. Goodness gracious. God bless you guys, all those that have been here from the beginning to the end, or from the middle to the end, or who have just joined you guys. Really, really, really appreciate you so late in the evening. Great to have you guys. Please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. Do let me know, guys, from these three options that we have. Marc Guehi, is probably around 50 million. If in this transfer window, if these guys were available, Marc Guehi for potential 50 million pounds, his contract ends in 2026. Obviously, they've all got a similar-ish type of profile. He's shorter than the other two, who are taller, physically a little bit more physically more built up as well than him. So Marc Guehi, though he's obviously Premier League certified, England international, Crystal Palace captain, potential England captain in the future as well. Mr. Kossounou, he is the Bayer Leverkusen invincible, won the league and cup double there. Went all the way to the final of the Europa undefeated until they lost that last final game against Atalanta. was very, very important in that squad as well. Part of that high line with Hintape, Edmund Tampsoba, Kossounou himself has a desire to play for the Premier League. Similar age again, 23, 24, 191 centimeters tall. So very, very, very tall. Athletic, strong, 1-3-1. Currently at Atalanta after refusing to sign a new contract with Leverkusen. So look, he's ready to be sold. They have an option to buy, so you'd think that they're first in the queue for him. But he's already rumored to have made his desire to play in the Premier League. Newcastle United would be a great fit for him. Often all of them would really complement Botman. So he's there, he's available. And Mr. Loic Bade is currently injured, but if France under 21s international playing at Sevilla, being heavily scouted by Liverpool. Transfer market got him under a market price of 20 million, but they're euros, but they're usually quite reserved. But his contract runs out in 2029. So he's got a long way to go, and he's got a release clause of 60 million euros, so about 50 million pounds. So guys, from this list, who would you guys select? And if you want to add somebody else that I haven't mentioned, do so. But do let me know from this list if you guys could have any of these three gentlemen in this January transfer window. Who would it be? And give me a name if there's somebody outside of this list as well. I'll be more happy to take that. I'll give you guys my final take after these comments. No to Guehi. No to Guehi now for me. Okay, so at the moment, no to Guehi. Diamande, if anyone. Okay, so you're really hot on Diamande. Okay, yeah, good player. Jonathan, I think Cooper preferred experience in defense, and then he changed from a back three to a flat back four, which gave him less opportunities to play, and then had the option to go to Sevilla in January. Yeah, they had tons of players. Well research. Thank you for that, Jonathan. I didn't realize that. I wonder if Forest would regret that, but they got Murillo and they got Milenkovic now as well. I mean, the way they go into the transfer market, they don't mess around at all. And I think they've now got Edu as the sporting director, give him triple the salary of what Arsenal were paying him. So they're very aggressive when it comes to recruitment. Aaron Kane, I take Kossounou from the options presented. Thank you for that, Aaron. Oliver Simon Jordan, Defo Guehi ready to go straight into the team. Eddie, and then another one there from a couple from Oliver. Eddie likes English players. He does. Jonathan, my first choice would be Christian Masquera from Valencia. Is he the one that plays for Nottingham or Wolves, is it? Let me look him up. So I've got a couple guys to look for here. Thanks, guys, for that. Thank you, guys, for sending in your options as well. Right, so who would be my choice? I'm going to say this. I'm mixed. I think the top two is for me between Marc Guehi and Odilon Kossounou. What I think makes Kossounou more favourable to me is because I think he's more available for £30 million. It looks like and I think that for that kind of money, if we're able to get him, I think we can still bring in a quality right winger in Mbeumo. Now, I know I'm thinking a little bit more wide than the actual player themselves, so let me bring it down to the players. I think Marc Guehi has the advantage. He's Premier League certified, captain of Crystal Palace, captain of England, and I really like him. What slightly tips the balance for me in Kossounou is he's got what Marc Guehi has in terms of athleticism, speed, power, 1v1s, tackling, passing, as well. But he's also got the height and the aerial ability. And so when you've got that level of height and strength at the back together with a Sven Botman, It makes you more imperious. So for those reasons, I will go for Kossounou. Um, but it's only just, even in my stomach, I'm like, I have doubts about that. My main doubt is only because Kossounou hasn't played in the Premier League. That'll be my only doubt. But the guy's an invincible. He's played in the Bayern Leverkusen side, who went invincible in the Bundesliga, beat Bayern Munich, beat Dortmund, did all those type of things. I think they beat Dortmund. And he's a cup winner, so he's got that winning pedigree. And he's already showed a desire that, hey, I'm ready for the Premier League. So that would be Kossounou probably just edges it for me, but even in my stomach, I have real doubts, and because I really, really rate Marc Guehi. But if it meant that we'll get Kossounou and for 30 million and a quality right winger, and then Mbeumo, for instance, and still have money left to get other players in terms of the future potential, I think Kossounou will be the player that will pull Mitchell. It will be a club signing. And I think it will be good to take that kind of risk on a player as well. So that's me. So out of those three players, I will go for Mr. Odilon Kossounou, and I'm grateful for you guys for sending me who you guys will think. So before we round up, let me read the final comments. You guys have been absolutely incredible. Lee Leyland, Guehi has to be. Guehi has to be. He is fire. He is. I absolutely rate Guehi. And like I said, I got a doubt in my stomach for choosing Odilon, especially when I haven't seen him to the same level as I've seen Guehi. But I just think that pace, power, height, athleticism, that height and the aerial ability together with Botman could give us even more dominion at the back and in midfield. Lee Leyland, Gordon has said he would love him. He did at the club. He seems like a proper captain and a leader. He is loved by the guys. Jude Bellingham holds him in high regards. All those guys. You know what? No, Mosquera is Spanish youth at Valencia. Okay, I'll look him up. 20-year-old centre-back linked to Liverpool, City and Arsenal. Okay, I'll look him up. Thank you for that, Jonathan. Really appreciate it. You've been really, really quality today. Wolves, one is Colombian. Colombian, yes, and Mosquera. Too many Mosqueras about these days. Indeed. Guys, you have been incredible. We've nearly done a 2-hour show, probably one of my longest shows as well, but it's been so worth it. I hope it's been worth it for you guys. Let me know, guys, has the sound been good? If you guys have listened to me before, I've got a new mic. I've cost me quite a bit of money, so if it's not good, I want to send it back. If you guys are saying, hey, this sound is awful, do let me know. But if it's good, if you've enjoyed listening to the show, do let me know, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It's been really quality researching these guys. Like I said, I've chosen Odilon, but it's so tight between him and Marc Guehi. And if Marc Guehi's available, if Crystal Palace say yes, we'll sell him for 45-50 million pounds. Even if Odilon's available, I see Paul Mitchell pressing the button and saying, yeah, let's take him. So, but we'll see what's happened. We'll see what will happen. Guys, you've been amazing. Final comments here, Lee Leland. Is this a new channel? I have subbed. Yeah, look, this channel has been up for just over a year. Just about over a year. We started last October. Thank you for the sub. Great to have you to sub. I appreciate you. Keep coming on. I'm going to be coming on. My schedule now is Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 p.m. Do look out for me, actually, which reminds me, folks, I'm going to be doing a match preview. You guys are the first guys to see this incredible thumbnail for the Nottingham Forest game. I'm going to be doing the match preview this Thursday, 10 p.m. Do look out for that. Newcastle United versus Forest. We'll also review the Arsenal game, the fantastic Arsenal game, and see hopefully what we can take from that game going into this Nottingham Forest game. So, guys, do look out for that. I appreciate you guys. Yep, the mic has been fantastic. Thank you, Aaron Kane. That, you know what? That brings me a lot of relief. I spent a lot of money on it, so I want to make sure that you guys have, your ears aren't burning you. It's not putting you off. So I'm so happy that you guys have said that. Class insight from Aaron Kane. Really appreciate you, Aaron. That means a lot coming from you. Oliver, need to look at replacement for Isak. Potentially. We'll talk about that. But I think he'll stay. I think it sounds good from Jonathan. Guys, glad you like the mic. More importantly, glad you like the show. And thank you for all your incredible engagement, your comments, everything. Please share this video, like this video. Always good to hear from you guys. As I've said, the next show is going to be this Thursday, 10 p.m. We're going to be previewing the Nottingham Forest game. I look forward to seeing you again. I hope you have an incredible rest of the evening. You should be sleeping now or at work, whatever you're doing, guys. Whatever you're doing, make sure you are well, make sure you're safe, make sure you are blessed. And God bless you all. Take care, folks.